maybe dialing back a little bit to some of the younger guys because I want to give like a good frame for some of the kids that listen too, and then I mean the parents and coaches and stuff that listen, they'll get hopefully the same kind of message out. But the earlier that you can get on the be a professional train, the better. So for the kids that for in hockey, you get your first opportunity of getting drafted is when you're 15, 16. You know, if you miss that, it's not the end of the world. It's not the most important thing ever, but there's a lot of opportunities that come just because you got that first milestone. So going into your OHL draft year or anything around that age, in the States, going to school, you're a little bit older, so you have a few more years. But if you can just dial in enough where somebody notices you at that point, the doors that open up to you and the amount that people want to help you and give you extra, it's just the nature of the beast because people see potential in you goes through the roof. So that gap, that's why you get that gap, that separation after draft year where the guys that got noticed or ended up making a junior team or whatever, the separation between them and all the guys that they played minor midget or U16 with starts to go over those next 2-3 years because those guys got a bunch of opportunities now that those other kids didn't necessarily get, where they were on the same level the whole way. They separated themselves just enough to get noticed more than their teammates, and then boom, over the next 2, 3, 4 years, they're getting way more. And we got a guy in here right now who had that opportunity this year, and now in here he's getting all kinds of attention more from us because he's at a level where he's like, man, this kid's actually got some potential. Like he's worth really investing some time and attention into, and that's because he's earned that. That's because he's earned that. And so if you can get yourself to start to dial in on that sooner than later, especially at a younger age in hockey, because you get judged so young, if you can just get yourself to get on that train, if it's something you actually want, which is really, really difficult to do when you're young because you can't see it yet, you're going to get yourself into a situation where doors are flying open for you. And you won't even know it. You won't even understand. Like the one kid I'm thinking about, he doesn't even know what's going on right now, man. He's just like, man, this guy, I'm getting this thing. I'm getting this thing. I got to go to this camp. This guy's talking to me now. I get to work out with these guys. And it's like he wouldn't have had that if he didn't just dial in a little bit. If he was a little bit later, he'd be in the same pool as the rest of the kids. And not everybody can get that attention. So if you can separate yourself a little bit early, you get that attention. Do you look like you got something to say?
I was just thinking, like because you said something about it's hard for kids to get it when they're young, and that's 100% true. But this is where I feel this what this podcast is all about is about, okay, so the kids absolutely at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 might not get it. But this is where we come in to ensure that the coaches and parents are doing their due diligence. And it's not like you've seen me how I am with Charlie. It's not don't wear a hat. You look stupid. You start growing up. That doesn't go well. But it's if I can't say it, someone else in my surroundings will. And I ensure that he's around good people. And there's nothing wrong with if you're a parent to ask the coach, can you just talk to him for a second about a couple things? Can you have the haircut talk? Can you have the don't pull your pants down halfway down your ass talk, right? With kids do, because if you do that as a parent, that's going to be, yeah, I'm never cutting my hair because you said so. But if you can present it, so if you're a parent, if you can eliminate the barriers when you're speaking to your kids and just say to them, when people are looking at you, because I know you have big goals, now you've taken their dreams and you put it in front of them. You're not telling them what to do. You're saying you want to get drafted. Is that something that you want to do, or you want to get, you have goals of going somewhere? Oh, that's good, and you throw that in front of them because now it's their idea. Okay, so you have goals if you want to get drafted in the OHL. That's awesome. Like, hey, you know what? Since you're getting drafted, your draft's a year away or 2 years away. One of the things that the scouts, they start looking early. Like, you never know where they're going to be looking. So if you walk around, some of the kids that are walking around and they look like they're the lead singer for Quiet Riot or whatever. I don't know what the groups are anymore, right? Twisted Sister or something like that.
Riot.
No, but if you look around looking like you sell drugs on the side, then that's the first impression, son. And you always want to make a good first impression. It's like you could be the nicest kid in the world, you could be the most talented person in the world, but when they see something that looks off, like you're the kid at school that's the cool guy, or your pants are halfway down your ass, and they judge that and go, maybe this kid doesn't have it together. That's what they see. So it's up to you. It's up to you, son. But if you think that if you want to get to the next level, it's just a small sacrifice now to clean up the hair. I'm not talking about wearing a blue suit every day. I'm just talking about wearing some decent stuff. You can still be cool, right? Or you can wear hack backwards. You still can do that, but like just clean it up so that you don't look like it looks like you care about yourself. So if the Windsor Spitfires happen to bump in, you say that's a good player. Oh, that's that kid. Wow, impressive kid. Not that's that kid. Oh wow, that's looks like a mess. So little things. So coaches, that should be a talk every year, right? And not to be the asshole, but just to say this is and bring a scout in from a team and just say this is some of the things that are important. If you want to have this, these are some of the things that are important. We're always watching, right? And that's how I said raising my son. It was so easy, or so far has been so easy to keep him between the lines because his dream was here. Do you want this? Yeah. So here's some things. Or here, talk to Eric about this. Talk to Dalton about this. And it's like, yeah, clean that up, do this. Oh, okay. And it's their idea because it's their dream.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is what the people say that are judging you too. They say the same stuff. It's not made up stuff. Another thing, just to defend my own point earlier, is with the kids being young and it's hard to understand. The interesting point, the thing that I've noticed is they ask the questions. It's not that they don't want it, And so if the reason that some of them don't dial in is a lack of information or a lack of knowledge, that's a shame. And that's the
Yeah.
that's the point of what we're trying to do with the podcast. It's like getting the information, because if that's the reason that they didn't, is just because they didn't know any better, that's a shame.
Or mom and dad were too lazy to deal with it.
That all that plays into it though. And a lot of parents, what I find is a lot of parents don't know the information either. And that's part of the point as well. It's try to shuffle it to them because they ask the questions. They'll do the things. Like I'm having the young group that we have in here, talking to them about food all the time. All of them are having cereal and a protein shake for breakfast now. Like, what a great improvement. Like, awesome. Good for you guys. That means you're actually starting to pay attention. It's not about the cereal and the protein shake. It's about the fact that you're starting to pay attention to what you're doing. That is what the important thing is, And so if they miss that just because they didn't hear it, that's awful. And that's what you want to try to avoid. So it's the reason that I say, it's difficult for them to understand because they're young. It's not because they don't want to understand it or they're not going to pay attention to it. They want it, man. Most of the kids I have in here have made noticeable strides to improve what they're doing, whether it's workout on the ice, at home. The guys that are consistent.
For sure.
The guys that are here the majority of the time and they don't miss workouts, they don't miss skates. Those kids that you can see that they have some desire, those kids they'll make the modifications. They'll try to the best of their ability, even if they don't fully understand exactly how to do things or whatever. They try to do it. So,
dude, it's 100%, and it goes back to your environment and who you hang out with. I'm the biggest believer in that. Right? You show me a guy on the team that you hang out with, like for example, you get to junior, you talk. If you hang out with the guy with the most body fat on the team, you're probably going to add some yourself, especially if he's driving you, because you're making pit stops along the way. And there's a point where environment wins, right? It's a big discipline. So just going back on that, it's parents and coaches. This is the thing is, coaches, you have a responsibility. You don't have to be the best X's and O guys. There's a quote out there or something I've seen several times that a coach will have a bigger impact in a child's life in a short period of time than a parent will. And I don't know if that's true, but it can be a good coach. And I don't. That's what, in sports, hockey, whatever. Your coach, you don't have to be X's and O's and teach them everything about hockey because that's probably the most irrelevant thing.
Well, you talk about Mr. Rose.
Yeah, I talk about him to this day.
How long was he your coach for? A few years?
4 years.
4 years.
4
right?
years.
That's a blink of the eye.
Yeah.
And it's like this guy is stuck in your head. You're 53, and you still talk about Mr. Rose.
Mr. Rose. I got athletic. I got being an athlete from him with the training, how he was ahead of the time, how he's a good person, how he cared about me. And if I disappointed Mr. Rose, I'd be very disappointed in myself. So I thought that was, anyways, the point is, mom and dad, it's okay to sit down with your kids, point things out. If you don't give them shit, but hold the dream up or ask them what they want to be and start going towards that goal. Doesn't mean they have to part their hair to the side and, wear polo shirts every day. It's just tighten it up, look presentable, act presentable, and coaches, it's your responsibility. It is. Why are you coaching, man?